the public hearings. Southern California Congressman Adam Schiff will be leading them. He, of course, is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman Schiff, welcome back to The Issue Is. You were our first guest on our first show, and we will always be grateful for that.
Thanks.
So we have these hearings next week. Republicans have been asking for public hearings. You've announced that on Wednesday we've got William Taylor and George Kent. On Friday, Marie Yovanovitch. Most Americans have never heard of those people before the last couple weeks. Who are they? Why do we care about them? And why are you picking them first?
Well, Ambassador Yovanovitch was the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, and she was the victim of a vicious smear campaign that was led by Rudy Giuliani and some of his allies in an effort to force her out of that position. Ultimately, she was recalled, and her successor, the charge d'affaires, is Ambassador Taylor, who the public will also hear from next week. He would become the top person in Ukraine. The top person in Washington with the portfolio of Ukraine was DAS, or Deputy Assistant Secretary Kent, who the public will also hear from next week. So you'll hear from the two top people on the ground in Ukraine, and you'll hear from the top person with that portfolio in Washington, D.C. And what they will describe, I think, is pretty consistent and consistently shocking. And that is that you had a regular foreign policy channel led by the career diplomats, and you had an irregular channel in which the president, Rudy Giuliani, and someone named Ambassador Sondland sought to get the Ukrainians to do political investigations that would help the president in his re-election campaign, and sought to coerce Ukraine into doing it by holding up hundreds of millions of dollars in military assistance they needed to fight off the Russians, and a meeting that the president of Ukraine desperately wanted at the White House with President Trump. So I think these three witnesses will lay out the broad story, the broad arc of the events of the last year, and chronicle much of the president's flagrant abuse of his office.
You know, Republicans have expressed a lot of frustration with you. The president calls you Shifty Shift. He says that you're a liar. The colleague, Kevin McCarthy, who's the top Republican in the House, he was on CBS's Face the Nation, and he was asked who he would want to call in an impeachment hearing, and he said you. Here's what he had to say, and then we'll get you to respond.
Well, I think the very first person we should bring Adam Schiff and his staff. He is the only individual in America
for a public hearing
who knows.
You want to question the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee?
Yes, I would, because he is the only person who knows who this whistleblower is. He refers to himself as a Ken Starr. Ken Starr testified. How many times did he meet with the whistleblower? What did he talk to the whistleblower about? Because when the whistleblower even went to the Inspector General, he never mentioned that he went with Adam Schiff.
So what's your response to that, and what was the nature of your relationship with the whistleblower before all of this?
Well, literally probably a dozen false statements. I couldn't keep track as I was listening to the clip by Kevin McCarthy. I've never met the whistleblower. I don't know who the whistleblower is. But you have to understand one thing about Kevin McCarthy. He has no independent judgment. He is merely the vessel for the president to act in the Congress. He does whatever the president wants, and he says whatever the president says. And that's, really, I think, a shame that you have a party leader in Congress so willing to debase themselves to this unethical president, but that's exactly what Kevin McCarthy does.
So you say you've never met the whistleblower at all. Do you know who the whistleblower is, though? You know the whistleblower's identity, right?
I do not, no. So all those statements you heard from Mr. McCarthy are just flat out false and wrong, but that's the kind of person Kevin McCarthy is, I'm afraid.
Wow. Okay. So what do you make, though, of the president's son and other Republicans now naming a person that they believe to be the whistleblower?
Well, look, there's been an effort by the Republicans, by the president and others to out this whistleblower, to punish this whistleblower, to bring about political retribution against this whistleblower. It's shameful. It's shameful. You have the president talking about how people that blow the whistle should be treated as we used to treat traitors and spies. That is, we used to give them the death penalty. So this is an attack on accountability. Now, you can understand why the president wants to attack the whistleblower. He feels it's his God-given right to abuse his office in any way he wants, and anyone who essentially calls out that wrongdoing is a traitor, because he believes he is the state. That may be true of a monarchy. It is not true of the United States of America.
So we're less than a year away from the election now. Why not just let voters decide this? What's the point of doing this when there is no indication at all that 20 Republican senators are willing to convict the president?
Well, here's the problem, Alex. On the day after Bob Mueller came and testified before Congress, on the day after Bob Mueller set out how Donald Trump and the Trump campaign invited Russian interference in our election, made use of it in their campaign plan, lied about it, covered it up, and then obstructed the investigation into that misconduct. On the day after his testimony, Donald Trump was back on the phone, this time with a different world leader, this time with President Zelensky of Ukraine, seeking to have Ukraine interfere in the next election. Clearly, the lesson this president walked away from the whole Mueller investigation was he can't be indicted, he can't be impeached, he is above the law, he is above any accountability. And to leave a president with the idea, an unethical president with the idea that they are above the law is just too dangerous a prospect for the country.
I have a question just about you as a human being, right? Even getting away from the politics. You've got half the country, or 30% of the country, saying negative things about you, calling you a liar, talking about you in social media. You got the President of the United States bashing you almost every single day. On a human level, what does that feel like, and how do you deal with that?
Well, look, you know, I think, honestly, standing up to this president, calling out misconduct by the president or people around him is part of my duty. And I'm willing to take whatever comes with that. I just wish that my Republican colleagues had the courage to stand up to him also. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be an issue about what's right for America, what kind of conduct we should expect in the President of the United States. This shouldn't be an issue of loyalty to party. This ought to be an issue of loyalty to country. But I realize, look, the president has got to go after me. He doesn't have Bob Mueller to go after. His acolytes are going to go after me. And so that segment that watches nothing but Fox Primetime, yes, they're going to have antipathy towards me. But I rest well knowing that when this chapter of history is written, it will reserve its most damning language for those that defended the actions of this immoral President of the United States.
And one more question. You're working so hard. The reports are you're like barely sleeping. What do you do to relax? How do you get away from this? How do you get a break? What do you do for fun?
Well, first of all, the rumors of my not getting enough sleep have less to do with not being able to sleep, more to do with just the schedule. But I get plenty of sleep, I'll have you know. In terms of what I do to relax, you know, I still just like going out to dinner and the movies with my family. I love going to the gym and working out, and that's going to be probably about it in terms of my recreation, at least for the near future.
Yeah, you're a busy man. Well, you know what I like to do? I like to play Tupac. So we got a little California love for you, because I know you're in the capital, but you got California in your heart, right?
Outstanding, absolutely.
And you can always dance to Tupac if you want to on our show. Thank you very much.
I don't think you want to see that.
Adam Schiff, thank you very much. And thank you always for taking time to talk to us. It really means a lot to us. It's important to talk to your constituents. And we've made the same offer to his Republican colleagues, and we hope that they will take us up on it as well.